So in this movement, it's really important that we have proper posture, and we really want to feel the strength of our legs and the strength of the earth coming through the soles of our feet. Feeling the strength. And now let's take this into side to side ribs, side to side hip slides. So you'll feel a nice stretch on either side when you take your hips over to one side. Okay, so keep your rib cage nice and tall, arms are nice and soft, elbows slightly bent, wrists flicked up. Make sure your pelvis is tucked under and your hips are square, so no twisting. And now we're going to take this into a forward and backward slide. So once again, keep your feet flat, knees are definitely bent with this movement. And we want to tuck the pelvis under, so really feel that tension. And we're going to move the pelvis forward past our toes and then back again, keeping the heart lifted and the head in the center. And now we're going to join all of those 4 points together, so the side to side and the forward to back, and we're going to join all of those points up and create a circle. Joining all those dots and now creating a smooth circle. Now you can use your arms here if that feels good to you. Might take a little bit of practice, but we're moving the arms in towards the heart, bringing the energy in, and then opening it out and releasing. Continuing with the circle with the hips, and drop the upper body all the way down. You'll feel a nice stretch in the back of your legs, making sure you tuck the belly, tuck the pelvis. And now we're going to take this big circle into a smaller hip circle. So keeping your knees bent, tuck the pelvis. We're going to lift one hip up towards the armpit and then the other side. You really must keep your knees bent with this movement. Okay, so you'll feel a nice crunch in the side waist as you lift one hip up and then the other. Knees bent, pelvis tucked under, bring the belly button in. And now let's rock the pelvis forward and back. So we're tilting. Tilt the pelvis up and then release it back. And we're going to take all these 4 movements now and move into an omi, which is a very tiny circle. So let's do this in stages. So first, take your right hip and lift it up towards your shoulder. Then tuck in the belly button, lift the other hip up towards the armpit, and then release the hips down to the floor. Again, lifting the side waist, tuck the belly button in the center, lift the other hip up, and then release and let go of the pelvis towards the floor. So lift, tuck, lift, and release forward. Lift, tuck, lift, and release. 1, 2, 3, release. Just speeding that up. This will take a little bit of practice, so go easy on yourself. You must do this a few times for the body to get used to the rhythms, and then once this is in your muscle memory, you will be able to turn this into a smooth circle. These are called small omis. So it's all those 4 points joined together. Try that on the other side. So lifting the hip, tucking the pelvis, lift the other hip, release forward, up, in, up, release. Now creating this into a smooth circle. Use your upper body if that feels good. Or at this stage, if you're just picking up this movement, you can just release the arms and let them float next to you. Just go at your own pace and enjoy the movement. Now let's move on to the hip drop. Go ahead and place your left foot in front and putting all the weight on your back foot. So your right leg is carrying most of your weight. And once again, keep your knees bent, tuck your pelvis in and lift the upper rib cage. Relax the shoulders and the arms down. Relax the neck, and we're going to squeeze the left hip up towards the sky, and we'll raise the right arm up and lower the left arm so it's framing your left hip. Okay. Lifting it up towards the sky and then dropping it down to the earth. So it's lift and drop, up, drop, squeeze, release, squeeze, release. And we're speeding this up. Drop, 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 drop. Knees are bent and switching over to the other side from behind. Putting most of your weight onto the back of the leg, on the left leg in this case, lifting the right hip up and dropping it down. So squeeze up and squeeze down. Lift, drop, lift, drop. Lifting the rib cage. Drop, drop. And switch to the other side. Fast hip drops. Knees bent. Squeeze, release. And this time picking up the tempo. This time we'll do the drop and the flick. It's 4 movements, 4 stages. So once again, balancing one foot in front and putting all your weight on the back leg. Okay, we're going to lift and squeeze the left hip up first. Hips square, shoulders down and relaxed. So squeeze up, release. And when you drop the hip, we're going to flick the foot out. So we're going to lift, drop, lift, release. Okay, so most of your weight is on your back leg. So practice doing this on one leg, just so you get a feel of your hip moving up and down. So keeping your head level, your shoulders level, all of the work is done in the legs. Drop and flick and drop and flick and drop, up, flick, down, up, flick, drop, lift, flick. Try that on the other leg. Down, up, flick, down, up, flick, drop, lift, flick it out as you drop the hip at the same time. Keep your arms nice and tall, nice and long. Down, up, flick, drop, lift, flick. Now let's move on to the hip bumps. So centering, we're going to flick the hip out from side to side. So to do this, we will need to squeeze our buttocks and our glute muscles really tight. So keeping the knees bent, you want to flick over from left to right. Keeping your center of alignment, heels, feeling them on the floor, pushing down into the floor with your legs as you flick the hips. Now you can speed this up and go ahead and framing the hips with the arms, loose fingers,